He usually gets angry and slide right off. There's only one of them. This could be it. We'll go with two in here. We got Fred here, and today's video is a little care guide for red-eared sliders. We thought it would be a perfect day to do this, and this is one of the turtles that gets mistreated the most, unfortunately. So we thought, hey, let's put out an awesome video on how to properly care for red-eared sliders. You ready, Fred? Let's take them through the life of a red-eared slider. All right, so Fred was our first rescue animal that we showed on this channel. Kind of kick-started our channel. He also happens to be a red-eared slider. He was not taken care of properly. He had no water in there, didn't have a heater, he didn't have the proper lighting. So we're gonna get into all of that. Red-eared sliders are probably the most common house pet turtle out there, and that's why we wanted to do a video around this, just to kind of give you a little bit of info of really how to take care of these things properly. What we started to notice once we got into rescuing all these animals is that happens all the time. We started getting messages left and right. Hey, we have a red-eared slider, can you take him? We know of this one. It happens a lot. So right now we have a couple that we're probably gonna go out there and rescue, but we don't have a ton of room to do too many. What we wanna do eventually is get into that and be able to have just literally like a dedicated red-eared slider pond, because unfortunately we're gonna need it. We're over here with Groot for this next part. Groot is not a red-eared slider, obviously. He is a snapping turtle. I'm just gonna take him out for 1 second for you guys to see. It's really about his tank, and that's why we're over here. Let's see if he gives us a good shot of that mouth. No, you're not gonna open it? He usually gets angry and there it is. Good boy. So Groot is still a baby and growing here. But reason I brought you over here is when you are starting out with them as babies, if you get them as like a hatchling, get like a really small red-eared slider baby, all you really need is just a small little container, some sort of little Tupperware thing. You can get it really cheap at Walmart. Put some rocks in there. You're only gonna put a little bit of water so you can start to learn to swim. Put plenty of places in there that he can stop and kind of catch his breath and just rest for a minute. And make sure to put a heater and some sort of basking area with the light. I'm gonna get to the light in a minute. A lot of people, once they start to grow out of that, will get either a 5 or 10 gallon tank. So the rule of thumb is 10 gallons for every 1 inch of shell. Even as a baby, I would say the smallest tanks you should go is a 20 gallon. That way you can keep it for a little while. You can add more water when needed as they start to be able to swim more. And it's acceptable amount where they can actually do some growing. I don't want these things to keep happening to these turtles like it happened with Fred. If you can remember, we got Fred, he was in a 10 gallon tank. He was already about 4 years old. He was way too small for his size because he couldn't grow. This is a 40 gallon. This houses just one baby snapping turtle, and he's got a good amount of room in here. As you can see, we barely even fill it halfway. We put his basking station here, and this is a great, easy setup for any turtle. You know what we like to do here is do things that are affordable. One of the ones that we love to use is this little Intex pool. This little Intex pool used to be like $30. I think now it runs for about 50 or 60 on Amazon, but it is great. It's 100 gallons. They can live in here for a while. If there's only one of them, this could be it and all they need. I would say, you know, if you have the ability, go bigger than that. But as you can see, we have our painted turtle in here, Xena, and we have our 2 river cooters in here as well. And they love it. This is plenty of room for them right now. And then once they grow it a little bit bigger, they will go to our large pond. Our end goal, obviously, is to move down south, buy some land, open a sanctuary, and build some really sweet large enclosures so we can rescue so many animals. Even with doing that, we are always still gonna keep 2 or 3 of these Intex pools at the ready. They're super affordable and super ease of use. You can literally just throw this up and within a few minutes build a really cool enclosure for some turtles. And they can house quite a few small turtles. Again, one of the main things that we love doing is showing you guys some affordable, easy ways to do this and not have to put your turtle or your pet or your fish in a situation where they're in too small of an enclosure or too bad of a situation where they're not gonna survive or have a good life. While the pellets are a good source of calcium, which they do need every now and then, once they have kind of surpassed that baby and hatchling stage, they really shouldn't be doing pellets more than 2 times a week. Those other days you need to be doing greens. You can be doing stuff like collard greens or kale or red leaf lettuce, anything like that. You can research it, but there's plenty of other ones out there they can do. And then the other days you can do stuff like this. You can do shrimp, you can do live feeder fish. Anything with protein is good. But again, if you do too much of that, if you do too many pellets or too much protein, you can start to lead to things like metabolic bone disease, soft shell, fatty liver disease. There can be a lot of complications with that. So you want to make sure that the diet is proper. Now, I have a lot of people reach out and say, hey, we weren't doing that before, and now that we wanted to start with the greens, what's a good way to do that because my turtle won't eat them? If you put the greens in there strictly for a few days, they're going to eventually get hungry enough where they're going to eat that. Now, a little trick to get them to eat the greens, dip them in tuna fish juice, which I know sounds gross, but it will help. And that goes for a lot of the aquatic turtles. So these river cooters are very similar to red-eared sliders, so they do pretty much the exact same diet. These guys right now are eating, well, 3 or 4 days they are eating their greens, and then the other they're either eating pellets or shrimp. So, hi, this is Crusher. The turtles also like to have some sort of place to hide. We like to build all of those. A really cheap way to do it is something similar to what we have in the Oscars tank here, and it's bluestone pavers you get at Home Depot. They're literally like $1 each. Use a couple of those, just build a nice little cave. And if you stack it high enough, you can get a basking dock out of it as well. That's what we have in our larger ponds. And also, if you remember when we showed you Groot, he has one of those similar as well. Next most important thing would be the lighting and the heat. In this case, as you can see, we have one light that does everything. Now, let's see if Fred will cooperate and sit for a minute. I know he won't, but we're gonna put him there and he is going to slide right off. Obviously, ideal situation would be is outside. If you live in a warm climate area and you can build something outside, the sun is the best heat and light source for them because it gives them everything they need. They need nutrients from the sun, which is your UVA and your UVB. Now, to save money, to save electricity, what we like to do is we get this one bulb that does UVA, UVB, and heat. Because again, the other important thing is not just the rays from the sun, they need to be able to get out and get somewhere where they can get completely dried off and warm. It's really how they absorb those nutrients from the sun. Now without that, again, you're gonna run into things like metabolic bone disease. You're gonna run into shell rot, which we have seen horrible, horrible cases of. Fred started to get a really bad case actually right when we got him. Xena did actually as well, the rescue painted turtle we have. She had some shell rot going on. So it can be fixed and reversed, but you need the proper lighting to do so. Short commercial break here. These are the tiger Oscars that we rescued recently that had the horrible case of hole in the head. And they are finally starting to eat and heal up a little bit. And of course, the one thing I feed them today, they're not eating, but they have been eating very well. This is one little cool trick we like to do on almost all of our tanks. Because our Sylvania grows like crazy in there, every single day I am able to take a handful that big and bring it to one of the tanks, and the turtles love it for multiple reasons. They will either eat it or just use it for cover. Really cool, and again, it helps with filtration as well. Which brings me to the next important part, is filtration. As you can see on most of ours, we have our canister filters. We also do have the sponge filters and everything, and then where Fred is in the large tank, he obviously has a massive filter. You can really go with whatever setup you want, but you want to make sure it is a pretty strong filter. You kind of want to go overkill a little bit because again, turtles are extremely, extremely messy. This is more for like 150 gallons, where that is basically a 90 to 100 gallons of water in there. A little bit overkill on both of those, which is good. And if you want to do even more than that, go for it. You can build your filtration too. We like to build a lot of ours, which we've done in the past. A couple of ideas of enclosures here before we wrap things up. We got a couple of things that we've built. So we built that 100-gallon one. We built this 400-gallon one. We have a couple of stock tanks here, a 70 and 110. Any of those would be acceptable for a turtle to live in. And this one, you could probably even go with 2 in here. So again, it's really about the size, and you can get creative as you want with it, but the biggest thing is size and what you have in there. Remember, red-eared sliders and a lot of other aquatic turtles don't do great in groups unless you have enough room. So if you had something like this 400-gallon, you could probably put 2, maybe even 3 turtles in here. But if you have just 100, you probably only want to keep it to one red-eared slider unless you have a mated pair, and that should be okay. Also, if you've grown them from hatchlings and they seem to be doing okay, that's great. But there are a lot of signs of aggression, so make sure you watch out for that because things can escalate quickly. If they're doing the little flutter fingers, that's usually not a good sign. I know it looks funny and silly, but it actually is usually a sign of dominance and aggression. So now here, I want to bring everything back in quickly. So there's some main points that you want to remember with red-eared sliders and other aquatic turtles. They grow very large. You need to have space. You need to have a heater. You need to have filtration, UVA, UVB, and heat. They need all 3 of those things. You should be doing lots of greens and veggies. They can also mix in fruits. They love fruits, strawberries, watermelon. We've tried mango, banana. We did a video that was awesome. I thought we made these really cool popsicle treats for the turtles, which I thought was awesome. Anyways, all of that goes into, again, same thing with any other pet out there. If you take in a red-eared slider or buy a red-eared slider, make sure you're ready to take care of it for life. They can live a very long, happy life as long as you do things the proper way. A couple of episodes ago, we did a gift card giveaway for somebody who said the secret word, which was Gwen. So So the winner of that contest is Delaney D. Congratulations. Reach out on one of our platforms and we will get you over that Amazon gift card. This episode's Good Vibes shout out, it goes out to Laura Lopez, who said, good job. I really love your videos. I have been following you since October, but I really like your channel. Laura, thank you. We appreciate the love. We appreciate how much we've been growing lately. Again, if you guys haven't checked us out on TikTok, make sure you do so, because a lot of stuff over there you're gonna see before we even get to process it here on YouTube. And we've been having a lot of fun over there, just doing some silly videos. As you can see, we got the drums set up. Grayson got a brand new set of drums, and so he's been playing in the TikTok videos, which I think is hilarious. There's so many things we want to accomplish. I hope you guys learned a lot from this. As always, Billings fam, peace! Subscribe below. Look at this guy. He won't forget. They always come over to us. We are walking to PetSmart. Very small fish. Excellent, guys. Fred is in great shape. Woo! Clover, say hi. Is doing so much better underneath.